Hello once again, readers of good books. My name is Nick Pell, and this is once again coming from my college dorm. And this week's book that I'm reviewing for you guys is the first horror novel that I believe I have reviewed on this channel, and it is Stephen King's The Shining, as seen here, with a shiny cover and stuff. It's kind of cool. This is a book that came out quite a while ago, I believe. It's one of King's most popular novels, alongside Carrie and other horror books that he's written. And this is where I'm going to talk about it, because it's Halloween-ish time, so yeah, that's a thing. As always, I will be talking about the ending to the book at the end of this video after the credits roll, so if you have read The Shining and you want to see my thoughts on the ending to it, stay tuned for that. Get right into characters. There are three main characters in this book. The first main character in this book's name is Jack Torrance, and he is essentially a guy who he got fired from his teaching job at school for reasons that are explained throughout the book. He's a husband to a woman named Wendy, and he is a father to a boy named Danny, and I'll get to talk about each of them in turn. And he used to be an alcoholic until he committed a violent act, and that kind of caused him to sober up, more or less. I'll talk about this a little bit more as we get to the plot section, but Jack is a very interesting character, and he's one that you're kind of rooting for as the book progresses. Second main character is his wife, Wendy Torrance. She, like I said, is his wife, and she's the mother to Danny. She also has something of a past. She has parent issues, mainly with her mother, and she is probably the most protective of Danny. She gets jealous of his relationship with his father, and other things like that kind of progress as the book goes on. And then lastly, we have Danny Torrance. He is the son, and he is a kid who is probably, in my opinion, the most interesting to read his interpretations for his chapters that we get to see through his perspective, because he is a 6-year-old kid, and he has this power called The Shining, which is what the book is titled. And it's essentially like a power where sometimes he has telekinesis. He can locate people through his mind and read their thoughts and figure out what their emotions are, and other times he has visions where he can see into the future or into the past and witness sometimes gruesome acts, sometimes great acts. It just kind of depends. And as the story begins, all of his visions kind of become centered around the main setting for the book, which is the Outlook Hotel. He also has an imaginary friend called Tony, who is kind of the person who gives him these visions. He basically calls for Danny to come over and basically see what he wants to show him. So those are the three main characters in the novel. There are a few more characters here or there dispersed throughout the book. There is one character who kind of gains importance towards the end of the book. I won't say who that is, just for spoiler reasons. Yeah, definitely good, well-rounded characters. We find out a lot about all these characters as the story progresses. And so getting into the plot, like I said before, Jack, he essentially he loses his job as a teacher, and then he has to go and be the caretaker of the Overlook Hotel during the time that is closed for the winter and fall season. So he gets this job, he takes his family with him, and they go and they just kind of settle down in there. And for the most part, all is going pretty well for the most part, and then things start happening, and things go bad, and Danny has visions, and he starts to see things, and things start to go awry. People become manipulated by the hotel, and it's just a very, very interesting book. The horror part of it doesn't really start to happen until probably about 3/4 of the way through it, at least for me. There's some tension parts, parts of suspension, but for the most part, the horror aspect, or at least the part that a lot of people are going to get scared at, doesn't happen until about the last part of the book, part 5. Which brings me to the idea that the book, at least in my edition, was 447 pages. There were 5 parts in the book. So the book is split into 5 different sections. But yeah, that is essentially the plot in a very broad concept. I'll talk about the ending to the book exclusively, and potentially some other things about the plot itself in the credits, or after the credits. Yeah, getting into themes, one of the main themes in this book is manipulation and desire. and this mainly focuses around Jack. He, like I said before, he is an alcoholic, so that is kind of his Achilles heel. Throughout the story, the hotel starts to kind of manipulate Jack and turn him against people and kind of mess with his head. And you see this happen and progress, and he starts to become doubtful, and decisions that he should make in his head, we see that he knows he needs to make. He goes in the opposite direction because he's becoming manipulated by the house. And then, like I said before, alcohol is kind of his Achilles heel, so anytime that's kind of brought into the picture, either mentioned by his wife or just kind of brought up in general, that's something that will kind of flare up his temper and cause bad things to happen. So those are kind of two main themes. I'm sure there's others that you can find, but those are two that I thought of. So getting into the enjoyment section of the review, I actually really did enjoy The Shining. I had heard about it for years. I have not seen the movie, so I didn't really know what was going to happen. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good book. It had more character development than I was really expecting it to, which is always a good thing. The ending left me pretty satisfied and a little surprised at some points in terms of what happened. And yeah, just overall, a good story if you're looking for something to read around Halloween that might put some frights in you. I definitely check out The Shining. Like I said, it's an older book, but it's still a really good book. And it didn't really scare me too immensely, just for the fact that I've dealt with horror movies a lot recently, and horror video games like Silent Hill Downpour and Dead Space and a bunch of other things. So I was just kind of used to that aspect. There was some points where it was very tension filled, and I did feel like my heart rate speeding up a little bit. But overall, really good book, and definitely check it out. So that's my review for The Shining. Like I said before, if you want to see my thoughts on the ending to The Shining, check out the part of the video after the crits, which will roll in just about a minute. And yeah, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on reading.
The world around me died when I saw that heartbeat. I knew it wasn't the same. Can someone tell me why this has happened to me? Why was it only in death when you redeemed my child?
And if you are still watching, you are here to see my thoughts on the ending to The Shining. Now, I will be talking about essentially the part from where Jack starts to go crazy to the end of the book. So we have Jack. He has become fully manipulated by the house. They take him basically to their dimension, and he starts drinking. And as far as I could tell, through the alcohol is how they were able to kind of start to gain control of him. Once he started downing the classes and everything like that, that's how he started to become kind of warped into their way of thinking, and he kind of got the idea that, yes, I need to kill my wife and child, because that's a smart thing to do in order to prove that you can manage a hotel. But to get inside his mind, what I was imagining as this was happening, as you see through Jack's mind and like his talk with his wife, like as he's chasing her and shouting things at her, I basically thought of him in like the Evil Dead voice. Like if you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. But it's just like, I don't know, I thought of him as more of a possessed person than as someone who has basically lost their mind. And you kind of see this as the book goes on. We see the other guy who has the shine to him, who is Danny's friend. We see him come back. He's going through all these hazards in the snow to try to get to this place, which I thought was really cool. We see Jack. He's chasing Wendy. He basically severely injures her multiple times, and she's just kind of on her last leg at one point. And eventually Jack goes upstairs to try to take down Danny. He finds Danny, and I thought this part was actually really, really cool because I wasn't really expecting it. We see Jack kind of break through for about a minute and basically tell Danny to run and remember that he loves him. And he kind of realizes that all is kind of lost. And so I don't know if it was the hotel possessing him that made him do this, or he himself did it, but he started whacking himself in the face with the mallet. And so, yeah, and then Danny remembers, thanks to Tony, that the boiler needed to be checked. It had not been checked, so it was going to explode. For some reason, he tells Jack this as like he's about to hit him, and that makes him realize, oh crap, that needs to be checked. I think if he had just kind of took off and left him kind of puzzled, he still would have gotten away. But yeah. But Jack goes down. He tries to turn off the boiler. He thinks that he succeeded, and then the boiler does explode. Wendy, Danny, and Danny's friend, whose name escapes me, name will be in the thing down here, but they all get out alive. I thought it was really interesting when they stopped at the shed, and the guy who saved them, he goes into the shed to get the blankets for them, and he sees the mallet, and he starts to pick it up, and the house, or the hotel, almost possesses him, and gets him to kind of finish the work and take out Danny and Wendy. And so I thought for a second it was going to end with him actually taking them out and just kind of causing the whole catastrophe himself. But luckily he snaps out of it. He realizes, no, this is a crazy thing to do, and he tosses them out behind him. And as they're going off on the snowmobile, it says in the text, like, eventually the shed did burn as well. So the whole place burned to the ground, and we can assume the hotel died with it. And then we have the epilogue where we see Wendy. She is recovering. She has kind of a back brace thing because she cracked her vertebrae thanks to Jack whacking her with the mallet. We see that it was a much more peaceful ending than I was really expecting from a King novel. We see them in a kind of a resort. Danny's friend has like a cooking job again, and they're both just kind of chilling. And it sounds like his friend is just kind of help him out with the shining thing and everything like that. And I don't know, it was a much more peaceful ending than I was really expecting, and it was a good ending, but I was almost expecting like something like the hotel was gonna like reach out and kind of like try to take down someone or something like that. I don't know. But overall, really good ending. I enjoyed it immensely. And yeah, if you have any other Stephen King books that you would recommend me to read, I have quite a few of them at home. And maybe at some point next October, maybe I will read and review it. So, yeah, leave a comment down below on your thoughts on The Shining or a book that I should read next time, and I'd love to hear them. So, once again, like, favorite, comment, and subscribe if you so choose. I'd appreciate it immensely. And as always, my good people, my name is Nick Pell, and once again, keep on reading.